back, everyone. So yes, I am in sunny South US. It's a lovely day today. Look, not even a cloud in the sky. Love it. So I'm here with Cedar. My mum's at work. She's got some lovely work. I'm going to go into that. That's boring stuff. But hey, we'll start off. We're going to talk about the garden today. But we'll start talking about the compost heap, because that is like, well, Kate, Susie's mum, thinks it's messy. I kind of love it. I kind of like it. This is my place. There's lots of plants. There's lots of weeds or wildflowers everywhere. But at the same time, let's divulge. So firstly, this over here was the first compost heap. It's full of, there's kale in there, there's pimpernel, lamium, stinging nettles, you name it. There's a bit of cockles and stuff like that. So yeah, this is just a pile they had here. But if you remember rightly, if you look at my old vlog, there you go, get it out there. When I came up here in March, when I had the flu, not COVID people, I planted up some willow from the old land that we had. And look at the curly willow here. It's doing really well. It's kind of sprucing up, it's coming back. And there's other cuttings over here and stuff. I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but they're all doing good. Even the Iliagnus, have a look. Check this out. Zoom in. Can you touch it? Can you smell it? I'm kidding. But anyway, so if you move over here and look over this side, so remember all the willows. I mean, all the willows. The willows behind me, but all the alders I picked up. There's alder. There's some berries from the garden. I can't remember. There's gilder rose. There's horse chestnuts. You name it. There's so many things. A little sly little sow thistle. But I'm not too fussed about. There's cedar's tree in there too. There's so many different plants. And if you remember rightly, remember this. Let me just turn you guys around. Watch this. So this part here, remember this cord line, this heavy thing. I'm hoping it sets roots. So I found this bath. Well, Susie's dad found the bath for me, and I'm not going to say no to a bath. And so yeah, but it's full of seeds. But anyway, I'm not fussed, because there's not many notorious wildflower seeds in here, which I'm not fussed about that. What do you want, Cedar?
I want to see the mushrooms.
Okay.
I want to see one. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
So let's move over to this pile. And this pile over here is basically sifted soil. Sifted soil that was over here, if you mean that gap just here. So basically you can see, look how lovely and fresh it is. They've got like a, what would you call your thing that you've got? It's like a separator or a sifter? A trommel.
Rotary sieve.
A rotary sieve. And look at this, it makes it lovely. Yeah, there's an old stone in there, but I'm not going to cry about it. But Susie's dad and mum are giving us this pile of soil. So then, because the soil that we have on the island, let me flip you around. Soil on the island, the soil that we have in our croft, there we go, full of the sun, isn't the best. And that's why we need some improving. So there's seaweed out here, there's the soil that we've got here. So just like, basically I'm just going to make lots of layers. You know how I did in the old piece of land that we had before. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And let's have a look at the active. Oh, and then maybe forget, look at this tool here. We love, Susie's dad likes pallets just as much as me, and this is a tool that one of your mates made, which you can just pry open a pallet without flipping bust on your back, and like using a chisel and a crowbar and a hammer, it just like pops them up. So yeah, anyways, let's move on to the active compost pile, which is here. And look, pallets. I've got more pallets, but yeah, look at this. I'll flip you guys around again. So yes, look, we got grass here. I'm not going to go through all the stuff in here, but at the same time, there's just lots of wildflowers growing through here. But I mean, I'm not sad when I see wildflowers growing at my compost heap, because they're all good at the end of the day. Apart from this silverweed, which is like a wild, like potentilla, I see it everywhere up here, and it is a bit of a thug, and it keeps getting everywhere. But there's mustard, there's lamium in here, there's a bit of potato over here, and so on, and some geraniums, bit of dock. And some of this lovely kind of purple, kind of dark purple geranium down here, and the rest of it's over here. So, look at my shadow, hi. But yeah, this pile here, this is just an old bed. It was filled with ground elder. Fortunately, these guys up here have ground elder too. It is spread to this part of the island, and another annoying weed here, which is mare's tail. But at the same time, you can eat our ground elder, and you can, Aquacetum is a dynamic accumulator, so you got to kind of take the pros with the cons. But anyways, this bed here was full of that, and they've kind of put like a black piece of lining. You can see here, if you come here.
Come around and stand next to me. This way.
Good boy, Cedar. But anyways, over here, so black plastic, and it's just basically just filled with the topsoil. And this plant here, I always forget the name. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. It's looking a bit weak because obviously the soil is kind of shallow over here. This plant is a nitrogen fixer. So what basically they've just spread it as a cover crop. So it's all going to die down now, and at the same time it's going to give all the goodness to the soil. And once everything's kind of died down, then they can just flip the mattress, flip the mattress, flip the beard. I'm joking. Flip the flip the black plastic over, and then all the goodness would drop down in the soil, and this would be a nice perfect bed. Because behind me is south. And look how the house isn't that high, and there's not many high-rise buildings here, so this can get all the light that it needs, and just be really happy. Whatever goes in there, we'll be happy. So I'm excited to see what goes in here, and I'm sure I'll actually help out and chip in once the planting plan commences. So check this, guys, out. Remember that tool? Look at this. Beautiful. Right, almost forgot. Here's another pile between the soil that we're going to have and the compost heap that's in use. But over there, just over the other side of the garden, is this whole heap of cows, like a cow farm. Is that what we call it? Cow farm? Cattle sanctuary. A place where cows... Oh?
Buyer.
A buyer?
Yeah.
Is that a Scottish word?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I've lived here long enough that I've kind of forgotten where I've heard words from.
Yeah. But anyways, this stuff here is lovely cow poo, and it's aged cow poo, and you can see how the dock is happy. This is the biggest dock I've seen. I know you get this on the mainland a lot, docks this size, but here, because the wind's so harsh and stuff, and it's kind of hidden behind like a dry rock wall, and the dock here is going crazy. So is this dock next type of Persicaria, Biswart or something like that? I'll write down the bottom of the screen. But yeah, there's endless amount, and there's so many people with animals here that they just have there's so much manure / poo, they just want to get rid of it, they just want to give it away. So Kate this is her pile of, and the man over there, he's ready to give her another ton bag or God knows how much. So yeah, there's this endless amounts of kind of soil improvers, so it's all good. What's down there? And if I'm honest, I was a bit kind of land sick, or not land sick, but not really homesick. But knowing that I can get copious amounts of horse poo and cow's poo and everything from this place, I mean, and pallets where I work. I've got a job now. I'm not sure if I said, but yeah, pallets for days. I'm all good. Should we go look? Let's go quickly. He's going down that way. Cedar's got skills. Quick. So, we're now going to talk to Kate, Susie's grandmother, Cedar's grandmother, about the garden. So to me, my favourite spot is the rockery. I really like how it works, because I've worked in a rockery. I did a garden back in Wimbledon. You know who you are if you see this. And it was a big task. It was pretty much the rockery dominated the garden, whereas this is a nice little patch, and I felt like it's just manageable, and it just works. There's not I can't see any weeds in here. There's nothing I really wouldn't want in here, but it just works really well. So Kate, so how long have you been kind of working this whole place, not just the rockery but the whole garden?
I started gardening about 27 years ago.
Okay. And
when we moved into the house about 30 years ago, this rockery was already here, but the wall was down and there was sheep grazing in here. Yeah. So this rockery was here, but it was quite a bit higher, and it was a bit smaller. It was kind of like a pudding of a rockery, kind of like somebody thought a rockery was a pile of earth with some rocks in it.
Okay. So chuck the mess in there.
Yeah. So once the wall was up and I'd started the garden, the rockery was one of the things that I really redesigned. So I took it down on the advice of a friend, and what they did was they suggested that I make it a little bit more like a bit of seaside. So I lowered it, spread the rocks around a bit more to make little planting pockets, and then what I also did was made a path across the centre, and then in each pocket I've planted a selection of different varieties. And And I really just curate it. And some of the things have gone completely mad. This year it's the Erigeron's gone completely crazy and swamped everything. Every so often I'll find a bit that's a bit too overgrown, dig it out and plant it back up again. But really it's a mixture of garden varieties of local plants. So I've got knotweed and I've got achillea, and I've also got sea thrift, and I've got a number of different varieties of alchemilla and a lot of geraniums here, and also some sedums and some ferns. These are all things that you find growing in the ditches, but that's fine.
So what's your favourite bit, Kate?
Well, it changes. So there's various bits that I like. I particularly like this olearia and the way that we've stripped the branches up the trunks to make it really obvious that it's a multi-stemmed shrub type tree or tree type shrub, and it's got the beautiful olivey leaves, and because I've lifted the crown a little bit, there's space for other plants to grow underneath it. The bit underneath it I have just replanted and it hasn't really grown in, but I'm expecting that to be amazing in a few years' time. I think one of the bits that I'm the most proud of is if we come and stand here and look up the garden. It's designed to work best in high summer. So if you look, the path around the rockery gradually narrows and the plants at the back are mostly pale blue, grey, purpley colours, and the plants at the front are yellows and oranges, and I've got some bright blues in there and some bright reds. So that actually makes this border closest to us pop out and the one at the back fade away, and it does seem to extend the garden a little bit. Now when I first planted it, the shrubs at the end were much smaller and it was a slightly more effective trick of the eye, but you know, it makes me very happy that I even thought of it, even if it doesn't always work particularly well.
I think it looks good.
Yeah,
it's great.
I really like it. And then you've got the rockery full of pinks and whites just in the foreground there, so that's the greyish blues really act as a nice backdrop for the rockery. And the other thing I really like is as you come into the garden, you get the whole of the herbaceous border or the mixed border with the rockery in front of it just presenting itself to you. Now obviously we've got some really practical things in here like the industrial strength washing line.
Oh, you need it.
But we need an industrial strength washing line because we do dry most of our stuff outside. But you know, the human brain's wonderful. It just edits it out. I just edit it out when I'm looking at it and just see the garden.
Yeah. 1 second, I'm being beckoned.
Are you off to see something? Very small.
We found mushrooms. A mushroom.
Teeny tiny.
More mushrooms. Cedar's a fan. Cedar Beard. Almost finished talking about plants.
Not way.
What's up that way?
It's up again. It's up again.
It's got an itchy belly. So let's talk about this Nicotiana bed, because it's one of the newest beds that you've kind of, to say tarted up, but you get a better word for that, we've done up, and I think it works really well because it's kind of, you can see it from the house up there, but I'll let you talk about that.
Okay, so this bed, this little bit of the garden actually is quite a lot lower than the rest, and it's got the old school loos at the back.
I see
And
it.
This very heavily planted up with aquilegias and Japanese anemone, and it was great for a couple of times a year. That was really nice in May when the aquilegias were flowering for a couple of weeks, really nice in the early autumn when the Japanese anemones are flowering, but the rest of the year it looked a bit of a mess, and it was completely infested with Allium triquetrum, which has beautiful white flowers and then falls over and makes a horrible stinky oniony mess.
Garlic.
So a friend and I dug it out extensively a few years ago. Haven't quite got rid of the Japanese anemones, but we've just gradually been planting it up with various herbaceous perennials. And this year I bought Nicotiana from Taxa Horticulture, which is a community group that gets people into gardening and growing food. And they'd had a packet of Nicotiana seeds, and the display has just been glorious. So there's a few other things mixed in here. There's catmint, and there's yarrow, there's foxgloves, there's been honesty and aquilegias in here, Jersey lilies. But the whole thing has been lifted by the colours of the Nicotiana, and I can see this bed lengthways from the kitchen, and you just see all the different heights of pink and white and purple and blue. And when it's windy, the whole thing just sways really beautifully. And I like it so much that I'm actually extending the general idea round underneath the pale fuchsia, and I've just started planting up the raised bed on the other side, so that's all been dug out. And one of the other things I like to do is I like to sneak herbs into everything, so that wherever I am in the garden, you know, there's a little bit of more herbs stuck in there. So in this bed I've got a bay tree, there's some fennel, some rosemary, and there's some marjoram snuck in amongst the herbaceous perennials, and they all kind of like add to the general flavour of the whole garden. So that's this bit of the garden under development.
Nice.
There's a little moscarda bee going mad on the Nepeta. You quite often get a lot of hoverflies on this bed as well.
And the blue bottles love their Achillea.
Yeah. And look at that beautiful hoverfly there. Just having a good go at it.
Malcolm doing what Malcolm does best. Take apart wood and build things like
What we
me.
should be doing is going in there and get the better tool for this, but
Persistent. That's what I like.
bloody-minded stupidity will take over. And if I'm careful, I can rip my hand open on these.
Those look awful. You giving it a go? What's with the screaming, Cedar? Hey! Slapping me. So
this was all tarmacked when we started, with weeds growing through it.
okay.
And we dug the tarmac out, but obviously not that effectively because we keep finding little bits.
So 1 second. So just so you guys know, this was an old school, which is now turned into a house. Is like how many years old? But yes, hence why the tarmac was everywhere. And lots of rubble.
Rock comes in there.
Okay.
Did that rock come from in there?
And check out the dry stone wall, guys. Great windbreak. If you can't grow trees, you put in a windbreak, and then you can grow trees.
I can lift the big rocks.
Yeah.
Mind you pop a blood vessel.
And that one looked very odd. So hang on, maybe.
It's all just like that dry rock wall, and then you did you do this yourself?
I had some help.
Okay. I almost forgot. The Veg Patch. Susie's mum's not all about ornamentals, but check out the Veg Patch, people. There's a deep bed. I'm not sure how big. I'd say about how many meters? 3 meters by 12. Pretty deep, big beds. So it's coming to the end of the seasons now, anyway. So this looks like fennel. I thought it was fennel, but it's still very close friends, cousins, I'd say. And the 3 leeks have been plucked today. There's some parsley, curly parsley, bit of spinach over here, carrots too, borage. I'm not a fan of borage. I've kind of gone off borage big time. Really have. I think it's only grew it once, but it just didn't wow me. Did not wow me one bit. And look at this big Bertha. You go, girl. So, this is the second bed. You can see the broad beans here are going over, they're done and dusted. And here's the sorrel. You can see down here sorrel. I'll zoom in. Kate said that what she does, she adds a little tiny bit to her salad because it is proper tangy. I've tasted some earlier, and believe me, it's kind of tangy. And check out this kale. Lovely bit of kale here. I'm not sure what type, but there's 2 types of kale here. This one's flowering. You see all the bees going bonkers. There's I swear there's more insects here than I've seen. I think it's my job isn't gardening, so I couldn't really kind of tell. I couldn't put it to the test, but there's just bees everywhere, like bumblebees. I haven't seen any honeybees, but we'll get to that another day because they've kind of honeybees find it tough here. But we'll talk about, like I said, we'll talk about it another day. But check out this bed over here. Some flowering mint. There's a berry patch here, and this stuff that you can see down the ground on here it's called strauch. It's like straw and mulch combined, and I think it's kind of very acidic. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I need to speak to Kate about that, but I might just write at the bottom of the screen. But a couple of berries down here, more mint. There's more berries over here, and that's a sea buckthorn in the corner down here. You can crop off that, but it's more because it can take this kind of environment and stuff. And this is an olearia. I need to. This is a new plant for me. I need to kind of get into that, but they grow well. Look, it's a nice windbreak there because prevailing winds come from behind me and from that way. Is it that way? No, should it never eat? No, that way. This way, southwest. Anyways, so we go over here. We all know this plant, rhubarb, big old rhubarb. This does really well, and like I said, because of the windbreak, which is the dry rock wall. Because if you can see here, the wind burn that gets to these guys come winter time when these are guys finishing off. I was here like when is it around, was it late winter one time, and you could see the wind burn just where it's not protected by the wall. Anyways, more fennel. Is it fennel or dill? I can't remember. I think it's fennel. A bit of lovage down here. A nice line of chive, sorry. They have a similar flower, so I get confused. Not sure what this is down here, but again I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. And we've got some more sorrel looking stuff down there, more rhubarb. So, and there's fennel. That is fennel, and I recognise that is actually fennel down there if you have a quick look. So yes, behind me is a windbreak. Look how big it is. And it's sturdy, it's tough, it's been cut back really hard, it's evergreen and can withstand this crazy wind that we have here. So, and trust me, the winds are strong here, ridiculously strong. But yeah, it's not a thug, it's not taking over the place. It's just does the job. So I think I would definitely invest in this or get some cuttings. But here's the sea buckthorn I was talking about. Let me just flip you guys around. And yeah, lovely plant. It's quite thorny in places. I haven't seen it. Yeah, it is thorny. I wasn't making that up. Look at these thorns. I'm not sure you can see that. Yeah, that is fierce right there. But it's got a nice little kind of yellowy berry. Can't remember what time it flowers, but it's definitely edible. This one did fall down, but it's obviously springing up from the crack where it broke off. Survival. And here we have an Elaeagnus. And we see this on the mainland. It's a lovely plant. I did start cutting this back. It came up to here. You can see where the grass was dead. So it came up to here. So Kate reseeded this, but the gardeners came and mowed this off. So sad times. But yeah, another tough plant that can withstand the weather. But you can see here how it's grown. It's kind of leaning, like it starts off here, but then it's kind of doing the whole Michael Jackson smooth criminal. So maybe if I were to plant my windbreak, I think what I'd do is most probably plant towards the prevailing winds. So in time, say like for example, I plant it like this, the wind will blow it up. So it'll kind of just, I won't lose ground because of the plant, if that makes sense. So I kind of gain ground and then kind of it'll bend back and kind of even itself out, if that makes sense. So I hope you got a nice little insight in the gardening world up here, because if I'm honest, I was kind of a bit worried that I wouldn't be able to grow hardly anything. Well, I could, but a lot of people have like polycrubs, which is basically a reinforced polytunnel, which is built for anything. It can withstand like 60, basically you think of a crazy storm, put one of those in, they'll be able to withstand it. That's what I'm trying to say, but I'll talk about them another day. But yeah, so basically all you need here is a nice good windbreak and persistence and the right consistency of soil and stuff, and then trial and error, because Kate has tried a lot. She didn't speak about that, but she's tried so many things. But this garden works. There's so many nice things in here, so many things that can make me feel kind of a bit nostalgic, because I'll take you on a drive one day. I'll take you out and I'll show you what plants do actually kind of grow out and have crept out of the garden and stuff like that. But anyways, I'll be back. I'm not sure how I'm posting next time, but stay with me. If you're new here, subscribe, because I'm getting birds. I'm getting potentially sheep, but at the same time I'm getting bees, because someone said it's not a good idea to get bees here because it's really harsh, but challenge accepted. But I'll give it a go, because obviously there's a big piece of time in the seasons, maybe about 4 or 5 seasons, where there's like no food whatsoever. But I have a cunning plan, because if I can get away with a garden like this, then I can plant for them. So stay tuned. stay for the adventure, and peace and hugs.